Hello and welcome to Superintendent's Corner. I'm your host Marnie Ryan, and today, as always, I have the wonderful pleasure of speaking with Superintendent for USD 305, Mr. Bill Hall.
Hello, Marnie. It's great to be back again. It's been a while since I've been on Access TV, and looking forward to updating all the patrons and the folks about everything good happening at USD 305.
And you guys always, I say this all the time, you always have so much going on, and it just is so cool as a parent and a community member just to always read all the updates and see all the great things and the successes that you guys have.
Well, and we do, and I thank you for that. But all that's due to the fantastic support that we have from our community and from our patrons, because we wouldn't be able to accomplish as much as we're able to accomplish with all the good things happening for our students and opportunities for our students unless we had the support of our community and our patrons. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of things happening, and probably the word of the day is construction.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you can drive just about anywhere in town, and just around every corner you see another school that's under construction, although we are making progress. As you know, this is the result of the voters passing the 2014 bond election, and it was a tremendous support of 60% to 40% margin, and so now we're starting to see the fruits of that support, and we had 16 total projects that were part of that bond issue, and thus far we've completed 7.
That's awesome.
So we're about halfway there. We still have 9 projects to go, and you know, we're excited right now. We've had a number of ribbon cuttings since last spring at our elementary schools. I'll talk about this in a few minutes, but with the all elementary schools being completed, we have all-day kindergarten for the first time in our history, so that was exciting. But we still have a lot of work to do. Our last project, we still have South Middle School, as well as our 2 high schools, Central and South High, and they're scheduled, those will be the last ones, but they're scheduled to be completed in, the last one will be summer of 2018. So we've got a ways to go yet, but we are making good progress.
Now, did the 2 high schools, do they probably have the most construction out of all the projects?
Absolutely. I think when you combine, the total bond issue was $110 million. Now the $110 million, about $76 million of that were the 2 high schools. Mm-hmm. And so absolutely, I mean, you can drive by South High and just see the amount of work. I often kid that I drive by Magnolia, and as that east wing was being constructed, I was just getting a little bit nervous because it kept getting closer and closer and closer to Magnolia. It's a very large building. It's a 2-story structure. It's going to be considerably different than the existing pod architecture that we had. And I had the opportunity to tour the inside of that, and it's coming along quite well. It's just as large on the inside as it is on the outside, but it's going to be a beautiful building when it's completed. And then also at Central High, the 2 high schools are different in terms of complexity and design, whereas South High was really, it's replacing the pods, the circular pods. Essentially, those pods will go away, or half the building will go away and be replaced, whereas in Central High, it's about 80% renovation. Mm-hmm. And so most everything that's happening to Central is happening on the inside. So you don't see as much outside activity, although there are some things. You have the Science Edition that's on the west side of the building, out toward Front Street. We have the new Performing Arts Edition that's just south of the auditorium. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the new multipurpose room gymnasium that's on the east side of the building. So there's some things happening there as well, but the 2 high schools will be the last 2 projects completed.
It is just amazing to me. Like you said, I'm so glad that our community and citizens felt that it was very important to pass the bond, and it's great to see such progress, and it just benefits our community and the kiddos most importantly. So
well, if I take folks back to the 2014 bond issue, the primary issues and messages that we had to the community, which I think resonated. One was the importance of all-day kindergarten, and we shared with our community the importance that we needed the additional space to be able to do that. We knew that we were going to have to hire additional teachers, and we did hire additional teachers, about 11 additional teachers to implement all-day kindergarten. We talked about the importance of safety, school safety. Now we'll have storm shelters that are designed to withstand winds of 275 miles per hour. And so we know that our students and our staff will be safe whenever there's inclement weather. And we also have school security. And so we have all of our schools will now have controlled access points where when folks come in, they will be buzzed into the office and get a visitor's badge, go through the proper protocol before they're released to go to the rest of the building. And so it's just high security, and it's unfortunate that we're in that day and age, but you know, we need to make sure that our students are protected at all times. And so those are some of the key issues. And then of course at the high schools, career and tech ed is going to be critical for us moving forward. And with the additional facilities at the 2 high schools, we're going to see some new programs developed as well. We have a CNA lab, Certified Nurses Aid lab, that will be in place at Central High. We'll have a culinary arts lab, kind of like, you know, you see Master Chef.
Yes.
That kind of culinary arts lab. It's going to be real, and we'll see kids learn about commercial food preparation, and they will have a manufacturing pathway at Central. We'll have a residential construction pathway at South. We're envisioning maybe even building a home that we would then sell each year and put those proceeds back into the program. And this, I mean, we're at Access TV, And this will be one of our other pathways. We've talked about maybe even developing a partnership with Access TV, but
Hey.
both of our two high schools will have broadcasting studios, and we'll have green walls and editing and mixing equipment and all that. So it's all about preparing our students to make sure that 100% of our kids graduate college and career ready. We want to make sure that if students, wherever they want to go, after they finish high school, whether they go on to a four-year school, whether they go on to a technical college or community college, or join the world of work, that they had the skills necessary to be successful.
Isn't it amazing how much education has changed? And just, you know, back in the day, not that we're just a little, we're a little wiser, the two of us, but
right.
you know, but just how it's changed, and it's amazing how the forward thinking that the district has to prepare the kids and give them such great experiences. Because, you know, let's say they have an interest like in culinary arts, and what a great experience to find out if that's really something they want to explore. That's perfect. It's a great opportunity.
And that's a great segue, Marnie, because we've also started a concept known as individual plans of study. And you know, oftentimes, you know, you might go to the high school junior or sophomore and have them start thinking in terms of what they want to do after high school. But you know, we know that that's too late. I mean, they need to be thinking about life after high school really in the elementary grades. So we make sure that they have the skills necessary to be successful no matter what they want to do. So we've actually started a program. It's called Individual Plans of Study, and it's something that the Kansas State Department of Education has also endorsed, and they also recommend highly, they've approved, where we actually will begin that conversation with students in 7th and 8th grade about what type of career interests do you have. We use an online program called Career Cruising, which is utilized as a career inventory type program to give students a direction in terms of some interests that they might have. And then really chart the course when they go through high school and develop a 4-year plan so they take those courses that are most meaningful to them based upon their career interest. And it's not necessarily like declaring a major, because they can certainly change at any time.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that they're taking courses with more intent and that they're doing things that they're really interested in, possibly even at the point that when they graduate, they can get some type of a certification that they can then take with them that they can use possibly to get employment somewhere. So we're having those conversations much earlier than we ever had before. And I think when you and I were in school, it was kind of like that junior high school. I think I'm figuring it out now, but we found out that's just too late. They need to be thinking about that now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you have a young lady that's in 6th grade.
Yes, Lakewood.
Right, and so she's going to start having those conversations in the next year or so.
I know, it's so cool. It's so cool that just the forward thinking. 305 has always done that. Even before my daughter was in 305. I mean, just you know, listening to the school board meetings and attending and just hearing the forward thinking. Salina is very lucky that our school board and the administration really just goes in that direction. That being said, this probably is not the best segue, but we did talk, though, about, because of all the great changes with 305 and with the buildings and so forth, there is something new at Salina Stadium, I do believe.
Yes, there is. There's a video board and a scoreboard, but that's also part and parcel of some other improvements that will be happening at Salina Stadium as well. But we were fortunate with the board's approval to purchase a new scoreboard, replace the scoreboard, and with that we also have a video board in place as well. And that's more than just a video board. I don't know, it's a bells and whistles, and it's kind of cool, and fans can see it. But it's really tied to our career pathways, because once we get our video production class in place, students will be producing content. They've already started doing some of that. We'll be producing the content that comes out on that video board. And so, you know, it's exciting because it you know, similar to what we're doing here today, it teaches kids the value of broadcasting and video production and how to create a product and air that product and do it in a professional manner that's industry standard. So with that, we're very excited about that. It's an exciting opportunity. And you mentioned that, but again, another nice segue, because the board has committed to doing some capital improvements on Salina Stadium. That's one of the pieces of the property that wasn't touched by the bond issue, and we're looking at capital dollars to do this. But we understand that Salina Stadium is utilized heavily by our 2 5A high schools, and as well as our 2 middle schools for soccer and for football, and you know, it's a beautiful stadium. It always has been. We also host the 4A state championship football game, which brings anywhere in the neighborhood of 7,000 to 8,000 people to our community. So it's great for economic development. So the board understands that, you know, that's an asset to our community. It's an asset to our school system. We need to do what we can to maintain and upgrade that. So with that, over the next 2 or 3 years, we're looking at upgrading the stadium on the west side. We also are looking at, we need to do some maintenance there and reseal some of the concrete, replacing the press box with an ADA accessible press box, also having new concession stands and restrooms on the home side of the facility. We've already done some things to replace the AstroTurf last year. The field house that's on the north side of the stadium has undergone extensive renovation. So really in a couple of years we'll have a stadium that will not only continue to meet the needs of our students, but will also bring folks into our community. So that's also very exciting.
Oh, I know. You guys are just always evolving. That's just so cool about that. Now tell me, I think part of one of the many things that makes 305 so successful is, I know as a parent and a community member, I'm always getting, whether it's emails or just wanting feedback. And I think there's also a phone survey you want to talk to us about. But I do know truly though, even this is one of the things we're supposed to talk about today, but really I will say that just in the years past, it's always been just nice to know that the feedback is wanted and the input is important. I mean, you really feel connected to the school district, you know, even more so than just your children attending.
Well,
so it's nice.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that, because when we started the discussion on the bond issue, my goodness, it would have been five years ago now. We really wanted to reach out to the community and not just to pass a bond issue, but really to develop a sense of transparency in terms of all the information that USD 305 would like to share and feedback that we would like to receive. Because we understand that our school system, it belongs to our community, it belongs to our patrons, and the Board of Education understands that. So we want to make absolutely sure that whatever we do is in the best interest of our patrons, and it's something that they absolutely support. With that in mind, we always pride ourselves in getting feedback. We did a number of phone surveys during the bond election and even after. And so we're going to do another one beginning in November. November 9th is when it's slated to begin. It'll be a 10 to 15 minute phone interview. They're going to phone at random 400 plus patrons and citizens in our community. And it's really scientific based research that has a margin of error, but they select folks based on different quadrants of the community so that they have a good cross section representation of our community. And then we're asking questions about USD 305 and what are some hot button issues? What are some things that patrons would like for us to focus on moving forward, and areas that maybe we're doing that maybe we can do better and should be doing better, and just get as much feedback as we possibly can. But that is going to start, as I said, November 9th. We should have the results by latter part of 2016 and can make those public maybe in January of 2017 and let all the folks know kind of what the feedback was on that. But the Board of Education uses this data and looks at it very closely to help them make some decisions as they move forward with the vision of USD 305. So I'd like to mention to folks, if you get a phone call, appreciate you taking 10 or 15 minutes of your time to respond to the survey questions, because it's very, very important to our school district to get as much information as we can.
And definitely, like I said, just feeling connected and to be heard. That's, I think so many times people often make comments they don't feel like they're being heard. Well, you definitely are if you take the time to answer the survey. And in addition to that, just talking about like the mobile app and all that, I mean, 305 is pretty hip, I must say.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that for two older folks sitting here, you know, and the kids are so embedded with technology. But we do have a new mobile app, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's an excellent opportunity for folks to have all the information they could possibly have about USD 305
quickly
at their fingertips
on
their smartphone. It's a very, very simple process. If you have a smartphone, you can go to your Google App Store, your Apple Store, and you just search for Salina Public Schools, and the app will pop up. You download it. You can register yourself. You can personalize it. It depends if you have kids in one or two schools. You don't have to get all the information on all the schools. You can just select information for those 2 or 3 schools. It has information on lunch menus. It has information on oh gosh, we have schedules. I was on there this morning, as a matter of fact, to see, because I like to go to as many activities as possible, to see what activities are going on, and I downloaded those to my calendar, so you can actually look at the activities, and you can sync those activities to your calendar so that you have a reminder that the ball game or the activity or the concert, whatever is going on that evening. So we have all those things going on. Everything flows with Skyward, which is our school management information system.
Skyward.
That's where parents can go in and check on grades
and
check on attendance. You like that? You utilize that.
I love Skyward. It's awesome.
And again, right there, just on your smartphone. So I would encourage folks, if they have time, they have a smartphone, to get that mobile app downloaded and really experience it, because they'll have the most up-to-date information about the school system.
It's just so completely convenient. You know, last year when my daughter was still in grade school and part of the marathon, you know, if there was inclement weather, immediately notification. I mean, just so quick. You know, and not that it wasn't quick before, but not in the same capacity. I mean, there's just so many features, and you're right. You totally can personalize it, customize it. It's just, I cannot speak enough highly about the mobile app, and Skyward is very good.
Well,
Double thumbs up.
and this may sound a bit cliched, but that's how I find out about a lot of stuff going on in the school system. And look who I am, right? So it's good stuff.
You're the boss.
It really is good
Yeah.
stuff. And a lot of the stuff that the schools are putting out, it just flows right into the app. And so
Yeah.
it's updated current information.
And tell me too, now, I do pay attention to this. I might
Yes.
be calling myself out a little bit. Tell me a little bit about Peach Jar. I'm not as
Peach Jar.
familiar.
No.
I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
Maybe not as much, shame on me. But
Right.
you're going to enlighten me a little bit more,
Well,
right?
Peach Jar is a new program, an application that we just started this year, and actually it's in the mobile app. It's embedded in the mobile app. So if you have the mobile app, you can get on Peach Jar and see a lot of the announcements being sent out. But basically, it's school and district approved flyers that are sent to emails, and they're posted on school websites. Now, in the past, we would have folks who wanted to send things out with students, and typically what would happen is they would send us the stuff, we would bundle it and send it to schools, and then all the teachers would stuff it in the backpacks. And
Yes,
so
yes.
when kids get home from school, they take out about 15 or 20 of these things. We found out from parents that half the time they ended up throwing half of them away and they weren't even reading them. Peach Jar, however, is emailed and it's posted online, so no more the paper that has to go home with kids anymore. It saves on paper and reduced copy costs. It's a green initiative, and so
making trees happy.
from an environmental
yes.
standpoint, it's absolutely very, very good. And it also eliminates the administrative burden on teachers and staff as well. So we encourage folks that if they have anything that they would like to distribute to any of the schools and civic organizations or whatever, then they just need to go ahead and go online and enroll in Peach Jar, and they have an account, and then they can upload their items, and then we have those scheduled periodically to be sent out to parents. So it's an exciting initiative. And then, as I said, if you download the mobile app, you can go right into Peach Jar there and see all the different flyers that were sent out.
I don't know if I've asked you this before or not, but how long in the making was the mobile app in Peach Jar? I mean, how far ago was this a thought in the
No,
district's mind?
And actually, Jennifer Bradford Vernon, who is the Director of Public Information, brought that idea to me, gosh, I think about 2 years ago. We had the idea in mind. And there were other schools that had gone to a mobile app, but we were able to go through a certain company that had developed it, and we went out and researched some of the other mobile apps they had, and we liked the product. And so we started that conversation and developed a proposal, took it to the board approved it. And so from that point, it took, gosh, the better part of a school year to get all the information downloaded in it. Now, tied to this is also our parent notification system, our one
Yeah.
contact system, one call system, to where if there's an emergency, then we can make a phone call to all the parents at a specific school or district-wide. We use that application in the event that I don't get accused of doing this very often, but of calling a snow day. And so when that happens, we use that app to get the information out to folks as quickly as possible. So it's all tied to that as well, and it's within the mobile app software. So it's been really good for our community, and it's another attempt that we're trying to make to continue that positive communication with our patrons.
Well, I'm sold. I mean, it's been
Thank you.
totally beneficial. And, and talking about the app and Skyward and so forth, I love the fact, and I love to tell my daughter about this, that I can check her grades online. I don't have to wait for a report card to come home. I can see them at any time. I can even see if she's missing an assignment.
That's right.
Not that she ever does, but
Well,
but it's great to see.
But it used to be, though, Barney, that we had to just kind of rely on whatever we could get kids bringing home or find out from parent-teacher conferences. But really, with technology, it's just so instantaneous now. Not only that, I mean, you can check attendance, you can check a lot of different things through the Skyward system. And so it really is part of really making that strong partnership between the home and the school when it comes to educating our children.
In addition to, and also what I like is not only can you check, like, of course my daughter's in middle school, but like, for each individual subject, what they're studying that week, or, what the current chapter, what
Absolutely.
they're studying, that's great. But also too, just testing scores,
Right,
I mean, and they're just tracked all the way through, so you can kind of see your child's progress. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, because, I would love to say that I look at it once and, oh, it's ingrained in my brain. But,
Yeah.
it's nice to go back and see and reference and
That's
see
right.
where they're going, what direction the children are going.
Well, that's very good, because we have an exciting new initiative that we're having at our elementary schools called Standards Reference Grading. And with Standards Reference Grading, when we were in school, it was, we knew the A, B, C, D, and unfortunately, and probably in my case, a few of those others.
I'm sure
A few
not.
of those others. But with that, we go with Standards Reference Grading, which isn't a holistic grade, but it's really focused on evaluating kids on specific standards and how well they're doing on certain skills. And so instead of that, we're still doing ABCD, but we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, that will really give a more accurate assessment of exactly what the student's skill level is on certain standards. And so from a parent standpoint, it will help drive that conversation that your son or your daughter really needs to work on these specific sets of skills, especially when we start looking at what it's going to take to prepare them for life after high school. So we believe it's a more accurate, evaluative instrument. I think parents are going to start having those conversations. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up this week,
yes,
and we'll
do.
start talking a lot about. And you know that you've already been informed of that. And we also have such things as social skills and work habits. They're going to be reported outside the academic area, but all this is contained on. We have information about standards reference grading contained on school and district websites. So I encourage folks to go out and if they have specific questions, go out and check it out on our website, or most certainly call your school and they can explain to you a little bit more about standards reference grading.
Now, what is the faculty and the staff? How do they? I'm always surprised, like through the years of my daughter, every time I go to the school and visit the classroom and conferences, just the amount of technology in the classrooms and how it's continually evolving. And not having an education background, I would just assume that it just would be such a great tool on so many levels. Like I remember when Promethean boards, when they were new and just the new exciting thing, and you add stuff like that in the classroom with all these apps and just. I bet the teachers love it. I mean, is that a silly assumption? I mean,
no, not at all.
Because it seems like it would be so much easier to keep track of everything.
And technology, I mean, understand technology should be used to supplement instruction. It should be used to facilitate, and it should be used to support instruction. It's not the instruction itself. So we never get technology just for the sake of having technology. But you mentioned the Promethean boards, and those are like projectors, and you have kind of a interactive whiteboard on it. But now that's even old technology. We still have Promethean boards now, but now they have these short throw projectors that are much smaller in terms of space, but they do much more interactive. So we have that. We also have a couple of years ago we went to the Chromebook One-to-One initiative, our two high schools.
Yes.
So all of our high school kids have Chromebooks that they're checked out to them at the beginning of the school year, and they take them home. They use them as their own, and check them back in at the end of the school year. And with that, we have really integrated technology more with instruction, because a lot of things that we're doing right now, whether it be the types of things you use technology for, we're doing things like Google Docs, where kids can actually store their work on the cloud and use it interactively, maybe do some collaborative projects. You can't really say the dog ate my homework anymore, because it's there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
And so there's just so much that we can do with technology that it just continues to grow by leaps and bounds compared to where we were when we were in school, but because it changes so quickly now. And so with that, we're excited to be able to offer that to our students. And then we're kind of moving down to the middle school and the elementary and really getting more computer accessibility there as well, and moving more toward the Chromebook as opposed to regular laptops. So it's been a good transition, but we're very, very proud of the technology infrastructure and the support that we have. We have an unbelievable MIS and IT staff that do phenomenal work in terms of keeping the district running efficiently in terms of our technology needs. And so I can't say enough about the good people. And really, I mean, even with all the technology, there's nothing that replaces quality people, whether we're talking teachers or we're talking support staff, whether it be custodians or food service, or MIT staff. Really, it doesn't really matter, because our pair support, because you're only as good as the people that you employ. And we're just very, very fortunate we have outstanding people here in USD 305.
And really, not just to just say this, but truly, now granted, my daughter's in middle school, so it's a little different from grade school, but each year when she was in grade school, that year that teacher was her favorite teacher, So I would often say to her, who's been your favorite teacher the whole way through? And it's very hard for her to answer. And even now in the adjustment to middle school, really is fond of all of her teachers.
Yeah,
so
we're just very fortunate to have outstanding staff here and outstanding teachers. And I go back to it, but it begins at the top. Our Board of Education, they're visionary. They're passionate about public education. They want to always do what they can to provide more opportunities for students. And so, it all begins with the leadership that we have. And so we're very, very fortunate to have an outstanding Board of Education.
Yes, and again, Access, we get the opportunity to cover the Board of Education meetings, and people love them.
Yes.
People love them.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why I didn't think they wouldn't, but I mean, it's important information, but I tell you, people watch it. We even have it, we can track on our YouTube, and people really enjoy it. They're very in tune. Even people who do not have children in school in 305. So that always strikes me. It's like, wow, people really do care. They're very interested.
I'm glad that we're able to offer that on Access TV, and that we have folks that tune in. And we also have folks, I'd like to see obviously see more folks come to our our board meetings. We have the dates and times posted on our website, of course, but there are some months where we have 2 and some months where we have 1, but they're on Tuesday evenings. They start at 5 o'clock, and I would really encourage as many patrons to come out and take in a Board of Education meeting sometime to see what's happening in USD 305. We also have opportunities. We do Superintendent Excellence Awards where we bring in students and we recognize outstanding accomplishments and achievement, and we have a lot of folks come out and watch that. And well, you know, here we pride ourselves on really wanting to recognize the achievements of our kids and our teachers as well. So.
And you know, and that is the one of the things I think it's such a great way to start the meetings is how everybody, the awards and just recognizing people. And you're right. Yeah. In fact, I can't honestly recall a meeting when I used to cover them that I've ever not seen somebody be recognized for something.
Absolutely.
I mean, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's great.
And when we have those events, they're packed houses. So it's good.
It's
good to see so many folks come out.
It is like standing room only.
It is. But it's good news, and it's a celebration, and so we like doing that. So.
Definitely. Well, tell me, is there anything that I failed to ask you or didn't cover? Because you guys are very busy.
We are, and most everything. And I really appreciate that because the purpose of this is really to let folks know about USD 305 and what's happening with USD 305. But we also have a series of other things that are happening as well at the state level. And as it pertains to school funding, you know, we have some concerns with what's happening at the state level with some of the fiscal issues that they're facing. And the dollars simply aren't there. And it kind of goes back to income tax reductions back in 2012. And so it's a real concern moving forward. We have a Supreme Court decision that we're all waiting on in terms of what's going to happen in terms of funding for public education. We have a new school finance formula that needs to be written by July 1 of 2017, and we have already had primary elections, so we already know we have some changes that will be happening, and some new folks will be going to Topeka and representing our interests there. And I like to tell folks, you know, public education it's just one issue. But it's a very, very important issue. And so I'd like folks to really get engaged and get involved. We have the election coming up November 8th. And so it's important that folks, if they haven't been registered, hopefully they can there's still time for them to do that. But if they are registered, to really take the opportunity to go vote, because we want to make sure at all levels, local, state, and national, but that we have all of our interests represented. And specifically, you know, I'm here obviously to campaign for public education. And so, you know, keep that in mind and make sure they go out and they cast a ballot and they elect people that will be supportive of public education.
Definitely. And again, just because USD 305 does so much for our community, so much for our kids, so many great changes and impacts in such a positive way. And again, you know, the bond issue passing, I think, and the numbers were so awesome, especially in the time, you know, in the time frame and with everything was going on in the world, and to just show the community believes in 305, they support 305, and that means they're supporting our kids, which is the future of our community.
Correct.
So,
and our school system's only as strong as the support that we have from our community. And we're just very, very fortunate to have outstanding support. So thank you to everyone for the past and continued support of USD 305.
Well, I'm always excited when you come, and I always feel like when we're done, I'm like, gosh, you just sat down and you just started talking, you know, it just goes on by. But I always enjoy talking to you, and I love hearing about all the great things at 305. And I selfishly, you know, I mean, yes, I am here at Access TV, and the point is to talk about 305, but as a parent and a community member,
you have a vested interest as well.
I do, and you know, there's just so many great things going on, and it just it's awesome to watch.
Well, thank you, Marnie. I appreciate being here, and invite me back sometime, and I'll give you another update. We'll have more buildings completed by then. So.
I know, it'll be great.
It'll be outstanding.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching.